Christina, I believe you and Rudy are both indicted out in Arizona. Give me your assessment. Let me get this right. You're head of election integrity at the RNC. You've been a fighter on 2020 from the very first hour that this happened, right? And you have a woman who has a 202 vote lead, 9,000 ballots the courts won't let us count that would break at minimum 80-20 to Abe Hamadeh. So he's actually the real, when you use democracy, he's actually the real attorney general. And a little over 100 days to go for the Arizona primary, and 4 years after this happened, she indicts not just the folks that they're electors, she broadens it out to include a whole swath of President Trump's closest advisors about what topic? Election integrity. Yeah. Christina, Bobb, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. I certainly didn't pick this fight, but I have every intention of fighting it. And I think it's important that the American people understand what's going on. When Donald Trump says they're not after me, they're after you, he means it, and he's right. So as you know, and I wrote a book about the 2020 election, Stealing Your Vote, with the intro by the great Stephen K. Bannon. Thank you very much. So I spent a lot of time on the ground in all the states, in Arizona and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Michigan, everywhere, investigating, talking to elected officials, talking to voters, talking to clerks, recorders, everybody that would talk to me. And I spent the majority of my time as a reporter in Arizona. Most of 2021, I spent on the ground in Arizona covering the audit, talking to state senators, reps, all of them. And after the Arizona audit kind of wrapped up around September 2021, shortly after that, I went over to be election integrity counsel for Donald Trump. When that transition happened, since that transition has happened, I can tell you I've had the U.S. Marshals show up at my house, the FBI, the Department of Justice has interrogated me, and I've been investigated by bars. I've had several independent investigations, as well as been subpoenaed in, I want to say, 4 civil cases.
Hang on, slow down. Hit rewind and take that from the top. Because this is why I got Rudy up here today. Because Rudy Giuliani knows about fighting communists. Rudy Giuliani knows about fighting Marxists. And this is how they do it. They use the legal system. Walk me through, since the time that you stood up for President Trump, walk me through what has happened to you by state authorities.
Sure. Well, so the initial one was the U.S. Marshal showed up to my house to subpoena me for the January 6th committee. I was then forced to testify before Congress, which I did. And then I had the FBI show up at my house. That was regarding the documents case in Florida. I cooperated with that, and I believe was investigated on that, but no charges, of course, came to me on that one. And I don't think there should be, to be clear. And then I have been investigated by state bars, and Palm Beach County Sheriff has showed up to my house. The Jupiter Police have showed up to my house. That was due to death threats that I was getting. This is all in last 2 to 3 years. And I had made it through the investigations, and I was just talking to my family and kind of saying, I feel like, the investigations and the legal troubles that have plagued me I'm finally past them, and then I get hit with 9 felony counts in Arizona. So I'm fully prepared to fight this. I'm now seasoned at fighting them. And the American people.
This is the, okay, hang on. This is the difference. We have the majority of the House. We've had it for 18 months, and they've done nothing about this. I'm going to get into this rude. They've done nothing. There's a woman in Arizona that, with millions of ballots counted and votes counted, millions, leads Abe Hamadeh by 202 votes. I don't think I'd call that a mandate. Plus, there's 9,000 ballots that courts are holding back that they refuse to count that would break at least 80-20 to Abe Hamadeh. She's not the legitimate Attorney General of Arizona, and she drops a thermonuclear weapon, not just on the electors, but she then spreads it out to Rudy Giuliani, to Christina, Bobb, Boris Epstein, Tyler Bohr, people who are the fiercest defenders of election integrity for Donald Trump. There are no coincidences, ladies and gentlemen. Christina, Bobb.
Well, I think you laid it out pretty well. I'm curious to see how this is going to play out. I'm working hard to fight against it, and we're not going to stop. We're going to keep going.
The 9 felonies are how many years in prison? If you were found guilty, how many for those 9 felonies?
Yeah, several decades.
Is it 50 years in prison?
Something like that. Yeah, I assume it would be the rest of my life in prison. Yeah.
You would spend it. You're a Marine Corps. Were a Marine Corps major. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes. I served in Afghanistan.
You've dedicated your life to. You've dedicated your life to service of this country, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And you now have 9 felonies against you. They could the rest of your life in prison, correct?
That looks to be like what they're trying to do. Yes, they are. It appears based on the indictment that they want me to spend the rest of my life in jail.
And this is for standing up and defending election integrity in the United States of America, correct, ma'am?
Well, that's certainly not what they're saying. We'll have to see how it all plays out. But certainly from my perspective, that would be consistent with what I believe I've done.
Well, that's the truth, because this is lawfare. This is the worst example of lawfare. Christina, where can we find out more about your case? Where can we find out more about you and how people can support you?
Sure. I'm available on social media, Christina_Bobb, ChristinaBobb.com. Please check out Stealing Your Vote, the inside story of the 2020 election and what it means for 2024. It was the big role of my time in Arizona. I tell the story, and please check it out.
Christina, this audience in this show will have your back, believe me. But this is all because you were just named the RNC's head of election integrity, and they don't want you spending a second on that. They want you worried about this. Do not worry about this. This is all going to go away. Trust me, this is all going to go away. We're going to force it to go away. Thank you, Christina Bobb.
Thanks, Steve.